about for loop in a detailed manner using syntax, real-time examples, and then using some sample code. So first, what is a for loop? So for loop is one of the important looping statements. So it can be Java, it can be C, it can be C++. For loop plays a major role in most of the programming languages. So we need to pick the best looping statement based on our use case. So I have already discussed about the basic looping conditions like for loop, while loop, do while loop, for each loop in the previous videos. In this video we are going to dig more details about the for loop. So here the basic motto behind any looping statements is iterate the statement several times. So for example, if you have some work, if that work needs to be done n number of times, which means 10 times, then you can use the looping statements. So it can be for loop, it can be while, it can be do while, it can be for each, but you need to pick the best one. So for using the for loop, the best use case would be number of iterations is fixed. So whenever your use case has some need where some statements need to be executed some fixed number of times, which can be 10, which can be 20, which can be any number, at that time we can use for loop over other looping statements. So the syntax would be as follows. So for is the keyword, so all the characters should be in lowercase, open brace and close brace. Inside open and close brace we can give the syntax, which means initialization semicolon and then condition semicolon, increment or decrement. Initialization means we need to initialize some value. So for example, if your work needs to be done for 10 times, you need to first initialize that work and then you need to check whether that work has been completed or not. So that is called condition, and then you need to increment your work so that it could be completed. So these are the three things that are mandatory for loop. Sorry, this is not mandatory, these three things are optional, but for the beginners please try to make it as mandatory. So we will try to cover more things in the upcoming videos where we will try to skip the initialization step or condition step or increment or decrement step. So for now you need to specify all the three things for better understanding purposes. So this is the open and close float bracket inside which we will try to give the for loop code. So this is the syntax. We will try to cover that syntax using some sample program so that you could get the information in a better manner. So for, which is a keyword, and then open and close bracket inside which I am trying to give the initialization first. So int I equal to 0, int I equal to 0 and then semicolon, which means I am trying to initialize some value for the variable I, and then the next step is condition. So here I have given the condition I less than 10, which is a condition, and then I plus plus means increment or decrement operator. Here we are using increment operator, and then what we are trying to do is we are trying to print allow. So now it's the time you need to find the answer before I click on execute. Please try to think twice or thrice and guess the answer. If you have guessed the answer that allow would be printed 10 times, then your answer is right. Reason behind that is this is the initialization, and then this is a condition, and this is the increment operation. So here what would happen is first it will initialize the value int I equal to 0, and then it will try to check whether the condition is true or not, which is 0 less than 10. The condition is true. When the condition is true, the statements which are present inside the open and close float bracket would be executed. Here we are trying to print just hello, that would be executed, and then we are trying to increment the value of I. So I plus plus, so the I value would be 1. So and then it will try to check whether this condition true or false. 1 less than 10, yes, true. Then it will try to execute the statements which are present in the inside the float brackets. So it will print the hello for the second time, and then it will try to increment the value of I. Now the I value would be 2. So similarly, when I reaches 10, 10 less than 10, the condition fails, the statements which are present inside the floor brackets won't be executed, it would be skipped. So this is the simplest program to explain for loop. If you have any other doubts, please try to ask me, I will try to answer. Thanks for watching.